All right, let's dive right in. The Reserve Bank of India just dropped its big biannual health check on the country's economy. It's called the Financial Stability Report, and we're going to unpack what it all means.
So this really gets to the heart of the matter, right? It's the one question we're all asking, especially with everything going on in the world. Just how healthy is India's economy? How strong are our banks? How stable is the whole system?
Well, lucky for us, a brand new report from the RBI has the answers. It's the Financial Stability Report. You'll hear it called the FSR, and it's pretty much the definitive guide to the health of our entire financial world.
Okay, so let's break this down. What exactly is this report? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a full-body, comprehensive health checkup for the Indian economy that happens twice a year.
So yeah, the RBI puts this thing out every 6 months. Its main goal? To really dig in and assess how resilient our financial system is. How sound our banks are. It's basically the go-to document for understanding our financial stability.
Now here's a quick heads up on some alphabet soup you might hear in the news, just so we're all clear. You've got the FSR, that's the report we're talking about, the one made by the RBI. Then there's the FSDC, that's the Financial Stability and Development Council. It's the big picture group, chaired by the finance minister, that gets all the regulators on the same page. So real simple, FSR is the report, FSDC is the council.
All right, so now that we know what this report is all about, let's get to the good stuff, the results. How did India actually do on this big economic checkup? We'll start with the macro-level view, the big picture.
First up, let's talk growth. The RBI is forecasting a really solid 6.5% GDP growth. And look, what makes that number so significant is what's happening elsewhere. While a lot of global forecasts are actually being revised down, India is standing out as a major engine for global growth. That's a big deal. And the good news doesn't stop there. Let's look at prices. Headline inflation actually dropped to a 6-year low of 2.8% in May. And with a good monsoon on the horizon and global prices easing up a bit, the RBI thinks it's going to stay comfortably below its 4% target. That's fantastic news for everyone's wallets.
And then there's this number. Think of this as our country's economic shield. Our foreign exchange reserves have soared to a new record high. We're talking nearly $700 billion. That is a massive cushion. I mean, it's enough to cover about 11 months of imports, which gives us some serious protection against any sudden global shocks.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit and look at the heart of the financial system, the banks. The report card here is honestly glowing. It's overwhelmingly positive. But there is one little thing, a catch, if you will, that the RBI is keeping a close eye on.
Just look at these key stats. The gross NPA ratio, that's basically the percentage of bad loans, is at a low we haven't seen in decades. It's incredible. And at the same time, the CARAR, that's a measure of a bank's financial cushion, is at a record high. So the bottom line is super simple. Our banks have fewer bad loans and more capital to back them up than ever. It's a really strong position to be in.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The RBI's own conclusion is crystal clear. They say the sector has, and I'm quoting here, strong health with record capital adequacy, improved asset quality, and robust earnings. I mean, you can't really get a more confident report card than that.
But remember that catch I mentioned? Here it is. The RBI is keeping a sharp eye on the boom in retail loans, specifically unsecured loans. Think personal loans, credit cards, that sort of thing. Now, they're only about a quarter of all retail lending, but their bad loan ratio, at 1.8%, is just a little bit higher than for secured loans. Look, it's not a red flag or anything to panic about, but it's definitely on the RBI's radar.
So if everything here at home looks so good, what's the worry? What are the potential storm clouds on the horizon? What's keeping the RBI up at night?
Well, the report actually includes a survey of financial experts, and the top risks they flagged are, well, they're pretty much all coming from outside our borders. We're talking about geopolitical conflicts, major cybersecurity threats, a global economic slowdown, and even risks from climate change. These are the big headwinds India's economy has to sail against right now.
But, and this is the really interesting part, despite being worried about all those global threats, a massive 92% of those same experts said they have high confidence in the stability of India's own financial system. What does that tell you? It shows there's a huge amount of faith in our ability to handle whatever the world throws at us.
And that confidence isn't just a gut feeling, it's totally backed by data. See, the RBI doesn't just cross its fingers and hope for the best. Nope.
It actively prepares for the worst by putting the entire banking system through these really tough stress tests.
So what's a stress test? Basically, the RBI dreams up these hypothetical, pretty severe economic nightmares, like what if GDP suddenly tanks or bad loans spike? And then they run simulations to see how the banks would survive. The best analogy? It's like a financial fire drill for the whole system.
And the results from this financial fire drill? They are incredibly reassuring. Even in the worst-case scenarios the RBI cooked up, the banking system's overall capital cushion stays way above the minimum required level. The takeaway here is huge. Even if a major economic storm hits, our banks have enough capital to ride it out.
Okay, so we've talked about GDP, inflation, healthy banks, and potential risks. But let's be real. Why does a report full of jargon and numbers actually matter to any of us in our daily lives? Let's connect those dots.
It really boils down to the simple chain reaction. When you have strong, healthy banks, they can lend money easily. That smooth flow of credit is the fuel for businesses to invest, to grow, and to create more jobs. And all of that, business growth, job creation, that's what ultimately underpins your own financial security and the health of the entire economy.
So, what's the final diagnosis from this big economic health check? In a nutshell, India's financial system is in great shape. It's strong and resilient. The quality of bank assets is the best it's been in over a decade. Yes, the biggest risks are coming from the rest of the world, but the confidence in our own system stability is sky high. And you can bet the RBI is staying watchful.
Look, this report paints a picture of a system with incredibly solid foundations, but it also leaves us with one big, lingering question. With all the uncertainty brewing around the globe, can India's financial shield, which looks pretty darn strong right now, hold up against whatever comes next? All the data says yes, but, as always, only time will tell the full story.